guys, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking the link on the thumbnail that brought you here. I am so excited to have you here. In today's video, we have good news. I was gonna do the trumpet thing. We have good news. You guys, I think I'm gradually getting to the point where I want to make my YouTube channel sort of like a mini diary. Of course, not like things that I'm not supposed to share, but just a mini diary of my program and all the milestones, all the setbacks, or at least most of them. That was my computer. Most of the setbacks that I am comfortable sharing. I think that I want to make that a space, or this YouTube channel is space for that, especially for people who are coming or thinking of coming to grad school or are in grad school. Just so you know, you're not alone. And you guys, have shared when it was tough. I'm gonna link the video up here. I have shared when things really got hard, and now that things are beginning to pick up a little bit, I think that I will still share that just so you guys can know what's happening. So if you're new here, my name is Mercy. I make videos about faith and my life as a graduate student. I am currently a third-year PhD student. I'm Nigerian, but I'm in the US, and I study molecular biology. So what is our good news? I'm just gonna read it. Like, I think that's all we should do. Let's just read the good news. I'm looking at my computer now. So it says, congratulations, your application has been selected for funding. XYZ will be in touch soon with account details. Please work with your department administrator to ensure that your expenditures are in accordance with Ohio University policies, which is my school. Your XYZ fellowship award will expire 1 year from the account set up unless you request a grant extension. So yes, I applied for a grant and I got the grant. Okay. Yeah, I applied for a grant and I got it. I wrote a proposal sometime during the summer, around August, when I was doing my internship, and I got it. And it's quite some money. I mean, it's an internal award, so it's not like an R15 or NIH or anything that sophisticated. It's an internal award, but at least that helps me do some research without necessarily depending on my supervisors. And it's like the biggest money you can get internally as far as awards go, so in my department or in my program. And I'm so grateful to have it. This is the second time I'm having this award. I applied last year, I got it, and I applied this year, I got it again. So this will be like my third grant that I have gotten since I started my program, and I'm actually very, very grateful for that. I think that and this is another thing, like if things are not working out, or if one thing is not working out in your program, another thing may be working out, and that's something to be grateful for. So when you look at the job market, when people are talking about what to do as a PhD student to prepare you for the job market, they talk a lot about getting grants and also papers. I do not have a first author paper yet. We're getting there by God's grace, but I have 3 grants and I'm very, very grateful. I know that like my strong suit is more towards writing, so I'm very grateful. Writing over experiments, by the way. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity. So yeah, and this whole video is not just to tell you the good news. Yes, celebrate with me, tell me congratulations, I'm excited, but I also want to give you guys tips. Obviously, like I said, I have not applied to like a very massive grant yet. This is like, I've applied to so many internal grants, and by God's grace I have gotten it. So the tips I have are not for people who are looking to apply for like NIH grants or stuff like that. I do not have, by the way, NIH is National Institute of Health in the US. I do not have experience with those kind of big grants, but I do have experience writing proposals for internal grants. And if professors thought that they made sense, then maybe they do actually make sense, and that's what I'm going to be sharing about here. Okay, So let's get right into it. So the first point, and I have my book here, I'm also going to be reading, like as I talk, I'm going to be referencing like my own grant so you guys can have an idea of what I mean. So the first thing that I think is important, which is what you find everywhere, you're going to look for people, or you're going to find people talking about applying for grants. Of course, I'm talking for grad school, or I'm talking about grad school now, but any grant at all, obviously you want to read the instructions. My friend talked about this in a talk that she gave, but it's very, very important to read the instructions. And the reason it's very important is because, especially with grants in grad school, some, like, the audience can be different. So the person who is going to read your grant may not necessarily be in your field. And where would you get that information? It will be when you read the instruction. So they may tell you things like you should dumb it down a little bit, or you should tone down the language and not use like heavy profession or niche based lingua. So you see, when you read the instructions, you get information like that. Of course, you also get the basic information, like page limits, like how it should be arranged. And they are not joking. I know someone who, just because they were a page over, did not get a grant, even if they had all the required, like even if their writing was impeccable. So you want to make sure that you read the instructions and you factor in your audience. Your audience will determine a lot. Also, when you read the instruction, you find out what kind of people or what kind of research projects they are interested in funding. There are some grants you just shouldn't apply for because it's just not, you can't change your research to fit their own grants, right? Or their own their own grants. You can't change your research. So if it doesn't work for you, you know, you need to just leave it. And if it's something that you can tailor your research in a way that you're not really changing your research, but you can tailor your writing to meet their own criteria, then go for it. Because if they are saying, for instance, in my field, there's a lot about drug discovery. So if they are saying that they want to fund people who are interested in drug discovery, and your own science is just explorative science, you're just trying to discover how things work and why they work the way they work, and you're not even interested in drug discovery, then there may be no need for you to even go that route. So you want to make sure that you understand their targets, right? The people that they want to fund, the kind of research that they want to fund. So that's the number one thing. Read instructions, know your audience, know what they're about, what the people funding the research care about, because that's the only way they'll fund your research. They won't fund research that they have no interest in. Now, number two is going to be craft your story. Now that you know what kind of research they are interested in, you know about the audience who is going to be reading it and all of that, you have all the instructions. Now, number two, craft your story. Now, what does crafting your story mean? Crafting your story actually means that picture what you want them to, like what you want to be left in the reviewer's mind when they finish reading your proposal. Like, picture actually, oh, what do I want them to think about when they finish reading my proposal? What is the story? So for instance, for this grant I applied to, they are very big on translational medicine, and I'm studying a cell type called chondrocytes. And I'm like, okay, so they want, translational medicine means that they want it to be applicable in their own field. They want it to be applicable in like human medicine. And even though I'm studying chondrocytes from mice, I had to figure out a way that I could tell the story such that it would be of interest to someone who is looking into translational medicine. So I had to think, okay, what is, for instance, a disease that is associated with chondrocytes? And I knew that was chondrocytes. By the way, they are cartilage cells. You don't have to know what's the word, you don't have to go too deep into what they mean, just know they are cartilage cells. So then I had to think, okay, what's a disease that is relevant when it comes to chondrocytes? And then I thought, oh, there's a disease called chondrodysplasia. dysplasia, and so I made my story around that so that they can see that there's a bit of translational medicine in this. So for instance, my first line in this was, chondrodysplasia is a disease characterized by craniofacial malformations and shorter bones leading to dwarfism. Full stop. So already I'm like telling them, okay, I know you guys are about translational medicine and my project is relevant to that. So that's what you want to do with every proposal that you write. You want to make sure that you can coin a story that will fit the narrative that the reviewers are interested in. Okay, so that's it. Create your story. Okay, then the third one is have your background. Make sure that you're well versed with the background of this study. Even if the people who are going to read your work are laymen, meaning that they don't understand your work that much, you cannot come and give them gibberish. You need to make sure that you have the background, like you've read enough literature to support whatever you're saying, so that as you're talking, you're citing. As you're talking, you're able to, writing. As you're writing, you're citing. As you're writing, you're able to fix your own project within the confines of what has already been done. Like you're able to situate it within what has already been done. Like people can say, oh, this person XYZ did this, XYZ did this, however this has not been done, and this is why I'm going to do this. So you need to make sure that you know your background very well. You need to make sure that you cite the correct and the appropriate references. I'm going to read something from my own work to illustrate that. So see now, you don't need to know the details of all of the proteins, but transgenic PTHRP null mice. Now, PTHRP is a protein I'm interested in. So transgenic PTHRP null mice die immediately after birth due to asphyxia caused by excessive chondrocyte hypertrophy and abnormal endocrinal bone formation in the rib cage. These are two extreme phenotypes that show that PTHRP is crucial in chondrocyte, remember, cartilage cell differentiation and life. Then I say, however, the roles of the mid-region nuclear localization sequence, blah blah blah, are yet to be clearly elucidated in chondrocyte development. So then I've stated with the first two statements, I've stated what people have done, how that the transgenic PTHRP null mice, that's mice that don't have PTHRP, die immediately after birth, and just all that makes this protein important. But then I've said that, however, these particular portions of the protein have not been looked into. So you see, I've tried to frame my work within what is already known and give a reason why my work is important. So that's something that you want to know. That's why it's very important that you understand the background of your study. And I know that this is very science inclined, so if you're like social sciences or something, you may feel like, oh my god, why is she calling all those big words? Just relate it to your own work. Whatever research you do, make sure that you're able to state what has been done, and then you attack with what has not been done and why it is necessary for that to be done. So that way people understand the relevance of your project. Okay, now the next thing is you need to prove that you can do what you want to do. Nobody is going to give you money if they don't think you have the capacity or capability to do the project that you're proposing to do. And one major way to prove that is to talk about your preliminary studies. For people who are in the sciences, you may have done some preliminary experiments, you may have done some little characterization. It doesn't have to be so much. And in some proposals, actually, you don't have to have preliminary results. But for most, they want to know that you actually have the ability to carry out the experiments that you say you want to carry out, or to carry out the research that you want to carry out. So you want to show some preliminary data. You want to say, oh, I did this, and this was the result. However, we need to do this before the study can be finalized. That way they can have confidence in your ability to carry out the research that you say you want to carry out. So you see, that's my next point. You need to prove that you can actually do what you said you will do. And the major way is by showing preliminary results. Now, the last point, sorry, I kept looking down, but the last point is that you show the expected, or you tell them the expected results. So let's assume that you were able to get everything done. What is your hypothesis? What do you think that at the end of the day, the final result of your project will be? What knowledge would that be adding to your field? Why is that significant in your field? So you want to make sure that you explain. I mean, of course, expected results don't always turn out to be the results that you get, but at least there's some sort of goal in mind. So you want to make sure that you're listing your expected results and backing it up with why that result will be significant in your field. Okay, let's see if I can find something to read out from my own proposal. So I have this particular line in one of my proposals where I said the hypothesis of this aim is that the XYZ and XYZ of PTHRP will stimulate chondrocyte proliferation and enhance terminal chondrocyte differentiation. And then I said that this knowledge would add to this result rather would add to already existing knowledge in the field, and will properly elucidate the mechanisms by which this protein regulates chondrocyte differentiation. So you see, I've said my expected results, but then I've gone on to back it up with why it is significant in my field. So you want to make sure that you have that, so that there's some sort of, okay, this is what we're hoping to achieve with this study. Now, like I said, this is just like a framework. You still need to follow all of the instructions, but I believe that if you can properly touch on all of these, the understanding your audience, having your background, having your story, proving that you can using preliminary results, and carefully elucidating your expected results and the significance of your research to your field, then definitely you should do well. If you're writing to a very broad audience, then you probably want to write the significance of the research to the world and to the broader audience, right? But if it's like a narrowed, maybe like a department or program based thing, then you want to write the significance to your field, right? Now, someone may ask, when you have like a graduate assistantship or a teaching assistantship, why do you need to still write proposals? Well, you need to write proposals just so that for the job market to see that you are able to independently write and apply for grants and get them and fund your research. That looks good on your resume, and also so that you can have some sort of like authority or some sort of authority over how you spend your money, because there are some times where you may want to buy a particular thing for research and your PI, your principal investigator, or your advisor may not be willing to buy that. So you see, this is why this kind of grants come into play. And if you are in a place where your PI doesn't even fund your research from the start, then I advise that you explore grants, because funding grad school by yourself is very, very expensive. Okay, so yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I just wanted to give like what I do with my grants, because basically this is what I do. Trust me, once you get your story right and you get your background right, a lot of things will flow. And I wish you the best as you apply for more grants. I hope to apply for bigger grants eventually. I've seen that even though I'm scared of this thing, like writing grants is actually something I'm very scared of, because I don't like hearing no. I think that it's something that I enjoy to an extent, just because it's like storytelling. Like I want to craft a story and convince somebody, and so that's why I do it. But let me know in the comment section if in your grad school you're exposed or you have access to grants like this. Let me know if you've gotten grants, and if you have other tips that you would like us to share. I also am thinking of bringing in a new section to the channel that would just be Let's Talk Science. So basically I would look for like an article maybe on nature or science or something that talked about like new discoveries that are actually relevant to us as human beings. So I'm not just going to be doing explorative science now. I'll be talking about things that you will probably care about, and I'll try to dumb it down in the best way possible, just so we can have a bit of that science communication edge on our channel. So let me know if that's something you'll be interested in watching. Thank you guys so much for staying with me. Thank you for all the love on our Cleveland video. If you've not watched it, please go back and watch it, you know. So yeah, I hope this video was helpful, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.